Thank you.
What is happening, guys? Can you understand me? Are these words coming through the system? You know, it's kind of a hassle to get this whole auto-tune thing working. It's something I did in my earlier streams. But I guess I stopped doing it because I was like, that's a lot of work and I don't know, it's a little embarrassing to be putting my voice out there. But now I'm like, just go for it, dude. Just go for it. This is a super short life, and like, what's the deal? You just gotta sit around and just think about doing stuff instead of actually doing it. Is that what you're gonna do? Yeah. Go do shit, dude. Do it for real. Like go do it.
Okay, I don't want people to die. I'll take the cure. Thank you.
All right, what is happening, internet? Fake truth here. It's definitely 3 a.m. here out on the West Coast. We just finished up another classic Marf show. The Marf Ugal Report TV, whatever you want to call it. It is it's a force to be reckoned with. That's all I'm gonna say. Definitely want to send people over there, and it's great to see all you Fugel family members out there. But I got some of my own stuff to tell you about. I think it's worth doing these time lapses because it gives you a very clear picture of what's going on here in California. Not on it's not a satellite. It's not doctored or in any way. These are just out front of my house. This is what happened today. You see some birds. I mean, you can see the trees sort of flickering around, but it was this thick layer, right? This is a time lapse, but it doesn't seem to be moving at all. It's like there's no actual movement. That big sort of shadow here doesn't seem to be changing either. It's like it's not going up and down. I guess I could skip later into the stream, but I mean, okay, there you're seeing a little bit of movement. You see some more sort of pulsed segments there. I mean, those do seem to be actual, whatever you want to call it, precipitation. Because it was raining again here, right? We were in the middle, I guess, towards the end of May, and this is not a place where it rains. It's a desert. So, right, regardless of your extrapolation of what is going on in this world, we're still trying to figure out the why. Is it Jupiter? Is it Nibiru? Is it a simulation? Many things on the table. But what I can tell you are my own personal experiences from my own personal spot and, what's going on there. And I know that it's raining here and it's weird and it's just not normal. And it's hard to see in these images, right? I mean, although it looks like on the replay you can see it a little clearer, I honestly see this very thick sort of grayness, intangible grayness, almost like a green screen layer. And then in front of it, you do see some sort of wispy tails here that are floating by. Occasional bird. But really just I don't think we've seen this one yet, right? It's just whitewashed. basically. And this is how it went this is how it went the rest of the day. I mean, we'll check in with the stream a little later. But this is what we got as far as Skywatch Los Angeles. Let's just run through some news really quick. I got a lot of like entertainment clips that I want to get to. Yeah, I felt the need. I called in to Marfugel, yeah, because people were kind of fighting about this whole thing, and they've been, there was a little fighting going on in this channel about Nibiru and the things that I was saying / writing about it. It's all very polarizing, and I just want to keep, pushing that narrative that like, as soon as you feel your emotional heartstrings getting pulled, like you just better be wary. Like that's prime time for you to get manipulated. Anytime your emotions get pulled in, that's just how that sort of works, because then you're easily changeable at that moment, right? You're I mean, just think about going through anything really intense in your life. That's a time when you're impressionable. That's why they torture people until they break, because that's it's another just sort of form of emotion. Not that I mean, I haven't been tortured or tortured people. I'm not sure what that's like, but I assume it's a very emotional event. At least that's what I've been made to believe. So I just want to keep harping on this, that everything has meaning, and ever since seeing this Gematria episode on Tinfoil Hat, like it's a podcast. I just listened to it. It was about Gematria, and it's so interesting because it's actually been pulled from the iTunes. You can still find it on SoundCloud if you search for Tinfoil Hat on SoundCloud. It's about Gematria and how everything is basically ultra planned, like to the max, like beyond anything you would think is reasonable. Yeah, what's up? What's up, WJC? What's up, Alt Newser, Florida Patriot, Scott? It's good to see you guys. I'm gonna keep going with this, and hopefully we'll get a bit of a crew going here. Depending on whether you're East Coast or West Coast, I'm just personally a total insomniac, and yeah, normally I'd be in my TV watching phase at this point, but Marv went extra late, and yeah, just want to keep the train rolling, right? We got to get more positive truth seeking going on in this community. And I just want to do my part for that, So it's great to see all you guys, and look forward to your input. I don't know Sammy Shore or Polly Shore. I mean, everybody sort of knows that this guy is a person. I was just, I was talking about that on the thing on Marfugel, but people's names have meaning, right? They have power, and right, it's hard to convince people that this is true, that like they would be planning everything from this guy's death to college basketball. That just seems insane. But the more I look at the world honestly, trying truly with open eyes to see what's going down, I've honestly been amazed myself at what I think is going on and what is possible. And I think the key to it really is that you don't need to be aware that you're being used in this grand chess game to be part of the grand chess game. I may myself be with my, I'm not going to tell you my real name, but I think it also does have some significance and could be used as a signal or a flare in some way, right? And that's what I start to think, like, these guys are they're hardcore, whoever's running this whole show, it's pretty hardcore, and they, right? You think you're smart, they can outthink you. They've outthought all of us, basically. That's, I think where we're in the situation we're in. But, and that's just not something I would put past them, manipulating somebody's entire life without ever really talking to them, explaining to them what's going on. And having all their dates lined up, having their name show up at a key time, to signal maybe something that's coming. I'm not sure if the entire West Coast is gonna collapse or whatever, if the entire shore is going to get flooded, but that's definitely a possibility in a lot of maps and things that I've been seeing around, especially on Marfoogle and other places, that the west coast is going to get inundated. If there really is some sort of major flooding, it's going to be all throughout the Mississippi and also here on the west coast, and that we may lose our shore. Just like the day went dead this year. It really, honestly, all signs point to the blackout coming this year. If it doesn't, I'll have to adjust my parameters. But there's obviously a code going down here, and I think it's worth looking into. Okay.
They store their compasses. We carry a lot more magnets around than we used to. And that can get you into trouble. It can deflect the needle of your compass, or in some cases it can reverse the polarity altogether. So I've got your trusty compass here. Lots of surprising things have magnets in them. Anything with a speaker in it.
Not everyone comes back
Just
as a
by
butterfly.
waving the phone nearby the compass, you can deflect the needle. And so if you inadvertently have a magnet in your sleeve, or as a fastening, or in your phone, and you have it anywhere near your compass, you can get pointed in the wrong direction. And if you store this compass,
Okay, this is some normcore stuff. I honestly, I try to be very pluralistic, looking at a lot of different content, and I encourage everybody to as well. You got to just look all over the place, So here's some pretty normcore channel. I guess it's 60 Symbols, something about math or something. Yeah, and I guess I played too much of that clip. We'll see if they shut that down. Come on, 60 Symbols. You didn't give me rights to show your compass video. Yeah, we'll see how the stream does. Man, they're just they're watching you like a hawk these days. And when I say watching, it's the AI. It's not anybody actually watching. But I guess I really gotta, even YouTube clips, gotta pull everything and just edit it. Because otherwise the content ID is just too powerful. It's very, very powerful. I just wanted to point that out, that, right, your devices, everything in all of your devices has these magnets in it. Everything with a speaker basically has these magnets in it. And, messing with the Earth's magnetic pole, and I started to think about, right, there's just millions of these devices, millions of speakers and other sort of controllable things out there. And, as soon as 5G shows up, then I think they can mess with this stuff even more, right? So yeah, I think the pole shift is coming. Everything that I've heard, I think the pole shift is really coming, but maybe is this sort of prepping people for that's not going to happen? Or do they have control? Do they have that much control that they could simulate a pole shift? Is that beyond the pale? I'm not sure. But I do know that this lady, Mia's new pair of glasses, she's always talking about this stuff, and has sort of a bit of an angry tone, saying everything on YouTube is wrong. But at the same time, she does have a lot of very powerful clips, especially of flooding and that type of thing, world disasters going down, and she's right in a sense, because this stuff is not getting reported very much, and there's an insane amount of flooding, and it's all correlated, and you're just not going to hear about it from a lot of people. So yeah, I would definitely go check out her videos, but I guess you're supposed to go to her website and pay the fee or whatever. I haven't gotten that far, but right, all signs point, whether it's in fiction, whether it's on fringe, supposedly weird, although truthful, YouTube channels, it honestly doesn't matter where you're looking. All of these warning flashing bells are going off, and I honestly don't know what to do about it other than sort of continue to read the signs. I mean, how prepared can you get if my entire house and everything here is going to be underwater, supposedly? I mean, may just have to see how that goes at the time. Although the blackouts are coming, so we're trying to get ready for that at least. It's a blue moon tonight, which is, I heard somebody say this to me, that's kind of weird. It's only the 19th, right? How could there already be a blue moon? And I had to double check on this. Blue moon just means that there's 2 full moons in the same month. So how was there already a full moon in May? I mean, I guess I'm not a moon scientist, but at the same time, it's kind of nuts, right? 2 blue moons this month, or no, 1 blue moon. That's what I meant. Let's get back to the content here. Content issues detected. Thanks, YouTube. I was just trying to prove a point here, and I guess I'm always trying to prove a point, but content issues, it's a big question. I understand why they got to protect their content.
Nice to have breathable air again.
Yeah, I'd be ashamed to see it go.
I'm learning to be a pure butterfly.
They don't all become butterflies, sweetheart. Not everyone comes back as a butterfly.
So, just a couple quick clips from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Right, they're always layering in these little, they're basically hints, Nice to have a place with breathable air. Too bad it's going to be gone soon.
Nice to have breathable air again.
Yeah, I'd be ashamed to see it go.
I'm learning to be a pure butterfly.
They don't all become butterflies, sweetheart. Not everyone comes back as a butterfly.
And there's a lot of stuff that we have to learn. That's why it's all layered on top of each other. So, but another big important thing that we need to learn is that reincarnation is what happens, right? If you look at any secret society, that's basically all they talk about, and that's going to be your root cause for any sort of like torture and weird sacrifice stuff that goes down is going to be in the name of reincarnation, getting a good call in there. And I'm not sure what you believe. I'm not even sure what I believe, but I know that they want you to believe that reincarnation is real, and that is just another little hint there. We gotta keep moving along. Here's where it's hard to draw the line, right? You see some numbers in this frame. I see 10, I see 884, I see 109. They just shipping containers? I mean, were they in a rush and just took the shot, in this particular aisle of shipping containers, or do these numbers have any significance? MLNU. And you could easily drive yourself crazy, looking at fault road, I think there are a bunch of false herrings and red herrings and a bunch of that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's all mixed together. That's why you got to keep your discernment level like at maximum all times. Is this like a fake out of a fake out?
Really? This was not for me. I thought you might need it after you see that. No, I finally found out it's a biological hard drive. Speaking of painful, that's not the alarming part.
Importantly, we did this to keep them to be taken. With employment on the planet of Kitson, we should have just enough fuel change course now.
All right, so another thing, I'm just pointing these things out because I think we're all supposed to be learning these lessons, and I'm not sure you're learning them properly. So I just want to highlight them. You need to drink alcohol. That's what you do at certain occasions when you are celebrating, when you hear like tough news or something, when something maybe possibly bad is going down. That's, oh man, I need a drink. How often have you heard that? Like, I'm here to say that all behavior is learned, like much deeper than I think you would be willing to admit even in yourself. It's been hard for me to come to grips with how deeply I've been programmed in my life. And how that programming consists, how you can't really fully ever escape it. Like, that's how culture is made. But at the same time, right, it is your consciousness, it is your life. So I want you to like take charge. I'm trying to take charge myself, and maybe I'm just twisting myself in knots, but at least give myself the illusion of some form of control. But the point is that you're supposed to drink, right? And this isn't the first time I've talked about this, but you are often encouraged and shown how and when to drink alcohol. And I find that very interesting. Now, my other big thing, I mean, I got a lot of big things. You gotta keep your passions alive. The hexagons. Always talking about the hexagons. Hexagons, that's what's up. They put a hex on you. They got that hexagonal beehive, hive mind, structuring cube of Saturn. It's got it all, basically, you know? Powerful magic spell, representation of so many other religious symbols, you know, maybe calling back to our gods there on Saturn. And I honestly do wonder, you know, especially with what's going on in the world, you know, what that lady was talking about on Marfugel, what I see in the 100 and other. What's up, Cynthia? Thanks, Marf, for sending people over here. Hexagon, right? Hexagon, that's why I pulled this clip, because I think it shows it really well. That it is representing the cube, because that's what it's doing in this animation. You can see it. It moves and represents. So it's right. Symbols are complex. That's why they're so useful in media. You gotta see that, right? Like, you don't have to be fully conscious of what is actually going on for stuff to enter your brain, right? You read stuff, you're reading the chat right now, you're analyzing these crazy collection of angled little lines and circles and swivels and dots, and you're doing it in like fractions of a second, right? You're not going letter by letter and saying, you know, because I appreciate that, Florida Patriot. If you hit the thumbs up, I will be much obliged. But I didn't go through and say, hey, look at that. What's that first letter? I see a downwards line and then a downward line, and they're connected by the. Oh, right, that's a H, and then it's got the dot. It's got the dot with the line. Which one was that one again? Right, that's not what happens. Your brain just crunches all of that data instantly, and in your brain pops, you know, hit the thumbs up, guys. And it's the same with these hexagons. Every time you see an image or every time you see a reference to something, right? Symbols are not just hexagon. Symbols are dragons, drinking, war, anger. All these things are symbols, right? And just by showing them to you in certain contexts, it all just sort of attaches on. Like everything is just kind of sticky, you know? So every hexagon that you've ever seen links up to this one. All of those sense memories are like vaguely pulled back. You know, I may be getting a little too in the weeds here, but I hope you see what I'm saying. That, right? People laugh at me for looking at this kind of stuff. Oh, there's a hexagon television. Like, who cares? But magic, power, millions of eyeballs. Like, you do the math, okay? And I feel like, you know, Illuminati types, if you're watching this, like, give me a job so I will shut up. Like, because I love television. I wanna get back to work. But in the meantime, you know, I just can't. I want to talk about what I see. I've not been told all the answers, but it's weird out there. But a bunch of the answers are in here. That's sort of what I'm trying to say. So let's. What's this next clip? Oh yeah, I think this is the iPhone commercial. It just sort of blew my mind. Right. The thing is, right, people are so used to only seeing the one meaning behind something. And that's what I keep talking about, this duality, right? Don't get pushed into the one or the other, because it's always going to be a false choice. Like, reality is always going to be grayer than that. I've taken to, like, wearing gray clothing as a statement, because, like, come on, guys. This is, you're letting this happen to all of us by just being so gullible, basically. Like, it's not one or the other. It's not this or that. But that's how this whole game works. You know, you're giving a series of choices, and based on those choices, you end up with, well, the same thing, basically. It's going to be totalitarian regime, whichever combination of choices you use. But here's just, here's the sort of the basic level of it, right? If they're telling us you'll lose power, we're not just talking about the new iPhone. I see this as a symbol, and I don't. Am I going too far with this? I don't think so. Like, I honestly don't. And you're always going to get some false positives, right? And most normal people are going to be like, you're nuts. Just shut up about the iPhone commercial. There are no weird symbols going out there, headed all throughout the world that are all synced up and with the numerology. That's just that would who would do that? It would take forever. I don't want to do that. I could barely get my own shit done. All right, I think we're going to transition into Doom Patrol because, well, there's just a lot of TV to talk about. There's an endless sort of stream, and the closer you look, the more hints you're going to find. At least that's what I find. And then you can take all of this together with the news stories of the day, with the experiences that you've had in your life. At least that's what I'm trying to do. And that's, then you get a more complete picture. It's a little more fulfilling to me than just, reading one news articles, one news source or whatever, and just deciding, oh, I know everything that's going on today. Like, that's chill. Just, get your ears open. But I think a lot of you out there, here in the chat, are, the same way. So, preaching to the choir a little bit, but let's check out this clip.
Is the Brotherhood of Evil someone? And after all your plans, Electro,
Wait, let me start it over. So this is the evil nemesis in this show. He's
They let me.
They fired you? Is the Brotherhood of Evil someone? And after all your plans, Electro Ray, the weather control, the giant robot going to bring the city to its...
I explained it to detail. The brain just didn't think I had. Zip.
He canned you
Placed me with some gorilla. Actual gorilla. It's smart, but it speaks French.
to talk to the brain. Make him see the
The
light.
Brotherhood of Evil we're talking about. The only reason I'm alive right to me a threat intellectually. Their words.
I can't do this.
Oh no, this is just a...
I mean, and that's just a tiny little sliver, right, of this show. But there's already just so much to unpack just right there, if you can see it. All of our favorite symbols and ideas and concepts, right, from the AI master brain that's out there, right, to the Brotherhood of Evil, as they call it, the evil secret society that is really calling all the shots. That's what I'm never making any of this up, basically. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never even gonna mention anything on this channel if I haven't already seen it just over and over and over again. I'm not interested in fringe sort of one-off things. I'm interested in trends and where things are going, and the endless trend is evil secret society out there in the background that is trying to manipulate and control everything. It's in the entertainment, right? So that's when I really start to question myself. Is all of this weird truther stuff, is the whole thing a psyop too? Because that would just be pretty heavy. But that's sort of what this episode is about too, because that's, they think they got the evil guy outsmarted, and they realize they've been in his game all along. And I think that's happened to me many times already, where you think, oh, I got this all figured out. And then you realize, nope, I was just playing in their playground still. Right? Maybe I still am. Maybe you just honestly can't get out of it the way Mr. Nobody talks in this show. Or maybe that's how they want you to feel, right? That there is no way out of this.
The weather.
They let me go.
How does someone and all you've done for them? The electro ray, the weather control.
Right, the weather control. That's why I pulled this clip too, because, right, I guess we're supposed to be nuts for even talking about in 2019 that there is possibly some manipulation going on with our weather systems, that there was technology developed decades ago that is, public knowledge, and we still can't talk about it. We still can't even reference, look up in the sky and see what's going on and talk to regular people. Like, everybody still just looks at me like, shut up, dude. And I'm sure, if you guys talk to people in the public, you get the same responses. But here it is in the television show. He invented weather control, Mr. Nobody. They turn his back on him.
Area where there is the white and does age it's space city poetic but we get anything.
Wait, change.
I think we must.
So this Magic Man is an interesting character, and that's your sort of first little intro
That's enough.
into the white space, which I guess is the title of this particular episode. And the white space is basically, right, because this is a comic book show, the white space is the space in between the comics, the place on the page that it's not the actual images, there's still white space around the images, right? And this is honestly referencing like your utter and complete blind spot to the fundamental layer of what's going on. Damned. That hasn't happened yet. Full on crash. My resolve crashed. I apologize, but dude, resolve, why would you crash? You've never crashed during a live stream before. That's messed up. I can do a quick plug for DaVinci Resolve. They're kind of awesome. It's editing, color correcting, all that stuff. And all you have to do is give them a fake email and you get it for free. And it's like way better than Final Cut and all those other things. And I've been using it to, put all these videos and pictures in a timeline. And it seems to be working out. I'm not sure how the resolution looks, but it keeps me on track. Lets me play a little music. And I sort of like doing that. So, sorry for saying the wrong keywords, but I'm gonna keep going with this show. Until you come over to my house and offer me a job, then I'll stop.
We'll kill you. May the final quest. I'd start running if I were you.
That's from Riverdale. These clues really are everywhere, though. You just have to learn to listen to stuff out of context, right? Take it at its face value. It's what is the phrase? The power going off. The power's gonna go off. Oh, well, he was just talking about that particular, context thing. That's not how that works. The statements go out in the air and then you're affected by them. And then you associate those things with what happened in your real life. Okay, so when we got cut off here, we were just looking at this clip where Magic Guy, right? And I made a whole video about how Magic Guy, he has like muscles and he's from the 50s and he has magic powers, so whatever symbols you want to pull in there, he's able to flex his muscles and just do magic stuff, like make sparks fly, right? And that was again a whole reference to the grid going down and everything. So, but in this clip, he's trying to get them into the white space, right? He's trying to get their brains onto a whole nother level, which a lot of this 5G talk I hear about like that. That's what I hear about. shifting levels of consciousness, especially when you see it represented in fiction, that somehow it's going to raise up our consciousnesses or dumb them down even further, right? Krypton is coming back, and they talk a lot about this too. Using a major grid, controlling the whole planet to dumb everybody down. And I'm talking about Krypton, right? I'm not talking about the real world. Or am I? But in this scene, he's trying to get, the team to the white space. But he ends up flexing the wrong muscle and giving the entire town an orgasm.
I think muscle.
And maybe I had those clips cut too close. It was just too hardcore for for Resolve, right? But this is another thing that I've heard talked about many times, that people will call you nuts for even talking about, that through electromagnetic waves that will be fully within the power of 5G and that whole network, that full spectrum. It's able to directly affect your emotions, and they've done the research, and I should really pull up that paper, but that at this level of hertz, it's depression. At this hertz, it's euphoria. At this hertz, it's orgasm, right? And I honestly would not put it past the technology that is being implemented right now to be able to do something like this, right? As insane as that sounds, can you imagine something like this happening? Because I honestly think, if there really is going to be some sort of fake rapture or some major sort of fake event, they're not really going to want to leave it to chance that, for people like us to be like, well, that sort of looks like a hologram. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to flood your body as well with like emotions of elation. And I honestly think that is fully within their scope to be able to do something like that. And, at the right moment, make sure everybody is feeling the way they want. And, it's definitely hilarious as well. I really like this show. I feel like I'm also secretly doing advertising for all this television as well, but definitely go check this out if you have a chance. Doom Patrol. It's on like DC's streaming service.
Stop it. That's enough.
Yes.
Holy shit.
This is just a series of clips. They get into the white space. I don't want to get too bogged down in this story, but they get into the white space, and they're basically given all of their own perfect lives. Like, all of these heroes, we've been following them this whole show, and they had sort of, sheltered, what's the word? Their lives were sort of broken, and they'd love to have a good do-over. Brendan Fraser killed his family or whatever on accident, car crash, which again, notice the blue and the red. Do you see blue? Do you see red? I see blue and red. Random? Probably. Color correction software can create that effect in 2 seconds, but it's probably random. Actually, there's like literally no way you could light that like that. It has to be color corrected. But the point is, they're given their perfect lives back, not realizing at first that it's a simulation, that it's fake. They've entered the white space, but they've done it wrong basically, and the bad guy has trapped them in this false memory that seems like it would be good for them, but it's actually torturing them because it's bringing back all these other terrible memories, and this reminds me of a bunch of other shows, the Good Place, and also all of the simulation talk that happens here, and what would you do if you were offered a chill life or reality? What's your choice, And I think it's made pretty obvious in the show that your choice should be to not live in a fake world. So they try to bust out of it.
You shouldn't have come here.
Did you really? If you want Niles through me.
Shouldn't be a problem. Fucking dweeb to me.
Right. Ripped apart first.
And right? Even when you think like I got this figured out, right? There's always going to be another layer. I cannot keep pushing the narrative enough to keep searching and looking for stuff, because it's, every time that I thought I've got it figured out, I know what's going on here, that it's more subtle than that. It gets flipped, it gets complexified. And maybe you end up overthinking stuff, and maybe you're really getting to the bottom of it, the black and the white, it's always there with this kind of stuff. And it gets interesting because you can kind of, you find so much inspiration in the stuff that they're leaving there for you. Like it is a very powerful system that they got going on here, to get thought and ideas out there. And I just want to mute this because you should, right? Can we have come on guys. Can we have a discussion about this guy's white clothes or whatever? His white and black jacket thing? Just totally random, right? The white and the black, the red and the blue. If you're gonna spend all this time and all this money on this kind of stuff, then might as well just layer it in, layer in the symbols. So that it really almost doesn't matter what frame you're looking at. Anybody that's in the know will be able to see this and be like, oh yeah, this show knows what's up. They got the black and the white. They're in the white space. And I don't know, you just got to think about what all these words mean. The root meanings. Just keep looking at your phonetics. There's always deeper you can go.
How do we start it and how do we try to locate it?
I got this. Speak robot. Hey, big fella. Friend or foe? Oh, fuck!
Right? And so now they're in this sort of false version of their reality, which again, these same ideas and concepts, a false version, Mandela effect, simulation theory, it's all sort of mirrored directly back at you, but in such a way that you probably don't even notice it. And that's why I'm starting to think noticing is the key. You got to notice, notice that as they're in their simulation land now, they've all switched to red clothing accents. It's the red and the white. You see the 3 segments on her shirt, right? The red and the white on the robot itself. The false enemy, the simulated reality. Just sit with it for a second. I mean, that's all I can do. I just know it's not on accident.
This guy's ass. I already tried that. Now, you can look out next episode. The moral. Basically, there's no beating me. Ever. But not so bad, right? Would you do that? There's no beating me. There's no beating me. Ever. But not so bad, right?
Right, there's no, and that's sort of the point, that's the way they want you to feel, that whether you really got this all figured out, if you got it all, you got a big room full of strings drawn, I know what the square means and how it connects to that. There's no beating them. Which is very demoralizing. And that's where we really got to turn on our discernment, right? We got to figure out when they're giving us breadcrumbs, when they're giving us truth, and when we've been made just the right amount of vulnerable for them to implant a false idea in our minds, like us not being able to handle, us not being able to affect what's going on, us not being able to have any impact on our reality, us not being able to escape the prison that they've created for us. And that's where I think this episode is, right? That's an element that's drawing you astray. But you may have come, to a different conclusion. I'd love to hear what your conclusion may be. But right, I just keep trying to separate these things in my mind. What do I feel? What am I feeling right now? What are my honest thoughts? What is, selected input trying to get me to feel, whether it be a YouTube channel or this mainline television or just some human on the street? Do they have an agenda behind it? Do they not have an agenda behind it?
The ragtag crew ate them. Oh? No. Tell them the truth.
Yes, you can.
I was responsible. This happened to each.
Right, and this is, it's a game as old as movies, it seems like, the twist, where, some characters or some person was not what you thought they were going to be. They sort of faked you out, What's the truth? Oh, well, here I'm going to tell you that I masterminded this whole situation. Wait, here's that theme again of somebody behind the scenes pulling the strings of multiple people's lives. Which TV show were we talking about again? It's all so blendy. It just blends. It blends over and over again. Right. So I think I'm getting my point across here. I think there's more clips, but there's always going to be more clips. Just glad to be here. Glad to be alive. Glad to have a consciousness. And glad to be able to open my mouth and say words, at least, with the feeling that I'm coming to these ideas on my own. I like the feeling. Although I guess I've always had that feeling, right? You have to take yourself back to earlier times when maybe, I don't know, I always go back to the election cycle when I was really, I was watching all the news vehemently, religiously. I had all of the major networks on illegal streams and was just watching them all continuously, and I was full-throated. I was all the way down there, and to look at it now, at least the way I see it, and just recognize the game, the very simple game that is being played to divide everybody, to get people angry, the talking points that constantly come up, right? The appeals to your emotion. It's a formula. But at a certain point, right, at that level, it just doesn't work on me anymore. And maybe that's why I'm doing these decodes too, because, I'd like to say that I used to enjoy this wholeheartedly, all of this content, but now I see the game. And it's incredibly simple. Get you emotional. Maybe show you some scary stuff. And then tell you what reality is. Whether that's what reality is or whether it is a very fine gradation or distortion that is, purpose built to lead you down the wrong path. It's the truth they want. And then the clearer, I think the less stressful your life will become, because you'll realize, oh, well, that's just a call out to that thing. That thing, they're just referencing that thing. That's all just, yeah. I see what they're doing there. Nice one. Nice connection. Nice cannibalism reference. That one almost got me, actually. That was a really good argument for cannibalism. I see what you're trying to do there. Do you know what I mean? Damn, it's late, guys. It's 4 a.m. here. I gotta get up in the morning. Great to have you, though. We'll see you tomorrow.
Of never-ending madness that turns back itself over and over again until someone breaks the chain.